Hello people of YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Why I Love Insert Thing Here, and you should too. I'm Anna, aka Articulately Composed. I'm usually on here to make music or comic dubs, but today I'm going to be talking about Case, otherwise known as Hi, I'm Case or Case Jackal. So, before we get started, I have a confession to make. I slept on Case's original music for a solid 5 years. I followed them for ages, I loved their Ask Carcat voice blog back in the old fandom days, but for years, I just thought their music wasn't my style. Until I heard Elemental last summer, and everything else fell into place. You could say I fell down the rabbit hole as far as it goes. Anyway, I've got a few points I'd like to go over and a few songs to pick apart, so let's get started. Before I go into any of the individual songs, I'd like to talk about Case's metaphysical perception of the Harmonic Series and how it relates to the way it's taught academically. When you're in music school, you usually learn about the Harmonic Series relative to a string instrument. You've got your violin string that makes one pitch, you cut it in half, it's an octave above, split into thirds, it's a fifth above that, fourths, it is an octave above the octave before, etc., etc. You might be asked to memorize the Harmonic Series on a piano, or shown it in a demonstration in a music tech class, or if you're a composer, you'll learn to write using the overtone scale, which is a scale made up of all of the harmonic tones, aka overtones, of a root note. You don't really go into depth regarding harmonics unless you're a spectralist or you want to go more into depth regarding electronic music. Case somehow managed to cover an entire college education's worth of information on the Harmonic Series in one 10-minute meditation track. In Case's more rap-focused albums, Jekyll and Hyde and Crow's Eye, they put a lot of emphasis on the divine implications on specific intervals. Specifically, Crow's Eye, the character whose perspective the album is from, is a bird god, represented by the perfect fifth. By the way, this album is part of a greater narrative universe called the Etc.verse. It's really cool. It's a podcast, a short novel, an ARG all rolled into one. You should all check it out. But anyway, this divinity of the perfect fifth goes all the way back to medieval chants, when the only harmony allowed by the church was the pure, perfect fourth and fifth. Case takes this idea and runs with it, not only basing Crow's Eye around the pure sound of a fifth, but creating a track that explains the natural and mathematical progression of the Harmonic Series, from root to octave to fifth, third, seventh, to the overtone scale and even to microtones, putting it all in context of a god coaxing the listener's personal resonance out of them. I honestly wonder what my theory professors would think of this track. Alright, you're all gonna think I'm crazy, but hear me out. Self I Can't Keep should be a jukebox musical. Maybe not as is with the order of the songs, and it would definitely need to pull from the other Hi, I'm Case albums, but it lays down the foundation for a super solid musical narrative. It's a story of working to overcome mental illness and reach self-acceptance and realization. I actually cried the first time I listened to it all the way through. I was going through some stuff, and satisfying complete endings always make me choke up. The emotions had been building up during the last several songs, but I think what really got me was this little bit at the end.
And I'm Case. I don't need to fade in anymore. I'm here.
Obviously, it's not Case's only narrative album. I can't ignore Crow's Eye like that. But the Etc.verse albums are already worked into a larger narrative work. Self I Can't Keep only exists in the context of Case's other autobiographical music. The strength of the narrative isn't the only reason why this album would make an excellent musical, though. Listen to this.
Missing daylight, it's not intentional. It's just assumed in my habits are unconventional.
This is from Sick of It. It's a song right in the middle of the album, and it's a real turning point for the story. It's when the singer goes from life kinda sucks to I recognize my harmful thought patterns and want to do something to change it. Now listen to this.
Missing daylight, not intentional. It's just assumed my habits.
This is Daydreamer. It's near the end of the album, and it's one of the first songs that really shows the singer is tangibly healing. Recognize that tune? That is a leitmotif, a theme that represents a character, and motivic development is the cornerstone of musical theater. The reason why people cry when they watch musicals is they subconsciously internalize those themes from earlier in the show, and when they come back, they're reminded of the times they heard it before, and they put the story back together in their heads. This is also why I got emotional listening to Self I Can't Keep for the first time. This isn't the only occurrence of motif in Case's music. Listen to this. This is less of a Self I Can't Keep motif and more of a Hi, I'm Case motif, because you hear similar if not identical themes in the other two albums. There's all sorts of crazy connections between songs, both in this album and out, and I'll come back to some of those later. But for now, let's pick apart some songs.
He's the great and only I am.
If you all watched my last theory analysis video essay, you'd know that a lot of that focused on how songs can work really well despite limited production and orchestration. This video is going to be the complete opposite. Especially when it comes to their rap albums, the production absolutely makes Case's music. There is so much depth to these mixes. I personally don't actually know that much about mixing. I try to tune and balance the music I write, but when it comes to the technical aspects of what's going on here, I have no fucking clue. Anyway, I Am is an absolutely perfect introduction to the world of Case's metaphysical furry rap. It just has so much energy. The titular phrase, repeated during the chorus, I am a god and so are you, feels almost literal when you sing along. It's one of those songs that just fills you with raw energy and makes you want to be a part of it. Now, one super cool thing about I Am is there's a second version. A version primarily not in English. As Mi Dios is a bonus track on the Crowside album. It's an alternate version of I Am sung from the perspective of Korov from their Etc. verse series, and it consists of one verse repeated in 3 different languages, 2 of which are conlines, constructed languages created for the world of the Etc. verse. The first verse in each chorus is in aqnepinne, a language based off Proto-Indo-European, and the third verse is in Anglic, a language based off Old English and Germanic roots. The middle verse is in English, and each verse says the same thing, so you're not completely lost when listening, but honestly, you don't need to understand a single word sung. The lyrics flow super well, and it's just as catchy as the original version, if not more. I get the aqnepinne chorus stuck in my head all the time. I'm just waiting for the day my family thinks I've finally snapped because they walk in on me singing Ne crezi coster westna, asante is in the wishua. This was the first Case song that really got me into their music. A friend suggested I use it in a project as a song for Dirk, and I was immediately drawn to it. It fit what I needed perfectly because of the mechanical sounds and also the self-importance of the chorus. I am a being of being, a being after. It is so much more than just a song for a Homestuck parody though. The song hits you right off the bat with a string of complex internal rhyme.
All these dots draw me lines, give me enough to find every angle in the plot that rings a note of the divine. Let me try to define mine by making time rhyming latency and signs. I hate being confined to give me life.
The rest of the song takes the listener on a journey of the evolution of man from a single cell. Honestly, that's not actually a reading I got the first listen, or even on the 100th listen. But you don't need to know the true meaning of the lyrics to feel the power in this song, because it's clear it's about becoming something more, something powerful, something that should be sung by an ancient Anunnaki bird god on Jupiter. One thing that really sets the ancient bird god mood is these little turnarounds at the ends of verses.
Without a curse doing, I'm making corners.
The notes used here are so fa me ra do, which means that the motif is in the Phrygian mode. That half step, ra do, is often indicative of musical traditions from the Middle East. And in this case, it's invoking imagery from Mesopotamia, the birthplace of the Anunnaki deities and the origin of much of written language. This song perfectly ties in to many of the themes of Case's original fiction into a song that is just an absolute banger. This song is calling me out personally. The third verse of the song snuck into my bedroom at 4 in the morning, saw me hunched over my laptop with a keyboard in my lap and Finale open, and decided to call me out then and there. I've got dark circles like my eyes are doing rituals. Turning out then burning out is proving too habitual. It's 10:30, a chance to get to bed, but who am I kidding, man? I'm staying up till 6 again. That's not the point of this analysis, though. Jack of all trades is a ton of fun on the lyric front. It's got lots of great wordplay, like this from the first verse.
Doubts, give up distractions, ain't a gamer, I'm past it, cause every little thing I do is a microtransaction.
It also plays with time in a lot of super fun ways that a lot of tracks on this album haven't, like in this instance.
I don't pop pills, I don't even smoke, I don't even drink, I don't even know, I don't even think I'm in.
The song is still in a 4/4 meter, but the emphasis is on every third beat. It gives it a more of a 3/4 feel. Like, I don't pop pills, I don't even smoke, I don't even drink, I don't even know, I don't even think. There's also some great text painting here in the last verse.
And just because my circadian rhythm is so out of sync with the time zone I live in, don't think that I...
Text painting is a term more commonly used in choral music and art song, but it essentially means making the music reflect the lyrics, which is what Case does here when the words out of sync are actually out of sync. Jack of all trades is a song about being crazy and creative and full of ideas, and that's really reflected by the lyrics themselves just being full of all those ideas. This song also plays with meter in a great way. On the chorus, there's a lot of shifting between 3/4 and 4/4. And if the song was written out as sheet music, it could honestly be written in multiple different ways. The switch could be perceived as 3/4, 6/8, or even no switch at all if you think of the bulk of the chorus in 3/4 as well. At the end of the chorus, even though the meter is really still only switching between 3/4 and 4/4, it's kind of hard to conceptualize unless you really listen to it. Not only is this a great way to make the song super memorable and grab the listener's attention, but the song is about feeling like you're acting like someone you aren't. And that's shown through the music by confusing the listener about what meter you're in. Are you in 4, 3, simple, complex? Are you a competent adult? Are you a confused kid? Nobody knows. For a song about the mundanity of depression, C'est La Vie is delightfully whimsical. It's an incredibly simple chord progression, completely diatonic even in places I didn't expect it to be. And the combination of the simple piano instrumentals and familiar jaunty melody juxtaposed against the defeated lyrics is just fantastic. Many songs about depression really focus on angst and pain, but this one really drives home the lack of motivation with its blasé attitude. This song also has great contour to it. It just starts out with piano and vocals, giving it an almost cabaret-style feel. But after the first verse, it comes right in with bass, rock drums, and backing vocals. Oh look, it's the motif from earlier. This is another one that's just a lot of fun to sing because it has so much character and personality to it. This song is just really lovely. The first time I heard it, I thought it would make a fantastic choral arrangement, and the theory behind it explains why. The song has a religious feel to it. The obvious religious bit is the lyrics on the chorus, but if you look deeper, they use some subtle hints to subconsciously make the listener associate the song with religion. First, let's take a look at this opening motif. Tune almost sounds hymn-like. Now, let's take a look at this part of the chorus.
8 Julys went by so quickly I can look back with a glance.
The chords under Look Back with a Glance feature a secondary dominant, which is heavily used in African-American gospel music. We hear that secondary and immediately associate it with a church. Even without the religious connotations to that particular chord progression, the use of secondary dominants alongside the piano-heavy instrumentation really helps to carry the somber, introspective lyrics. I have another confession to make. There were still Case songs I was sleeping on when I started this video script, and this was one of them. I'm very glad this song was suggested though, because it is full of Easter eggs to past time Case songs. On its own, it's a really good song, but if you're familiar with the other music, it just blows your mind. Just at the beginning of the song, you get references to Trying Too Hard, Battle Cry, Run, Hideout, 8 Julys, Tally Marks, Sleep. The Sleep reference even uses the same tune as the original. I could go through and try to find every reference to a past song, but honestly, I'm not sure I could even find them all, or even the majority of them. What I want to talk about is the chord progression. Listen to this.
Left a gap to the way that it was before. Some words occur to hurt me more, but none seem to follow me home. Oh, I know I'm so lucky. No part of me I'm looking for. All but 24.
Sound familiar? No? Let's take a look at the instrumentals. If letting go was impossible at first, and getting over obstacles would hurt, makes it worse. 8 Julys went by so quickly I could look back with a glance. 24 uses almost the exact same chord progression as 8 Julys. Not only that, but there's one frequently used descending melodic line that is essentially just a bastardized version of a similar one from 8 Julys.
Singing out our newfound parts. Regardless of that, here I am.
It's the same! Also, right near the end, remember that motif I mentioned earlier? It's snuck right in there. The combination of all these similarities to earlier songs combined with the finality of the lyrics make this the perfect finale song for the Self I Can't Keep Jukebox musical. I told you I'd be coming back to this. The circle is complete. Alright, I think that's all I got for today. There's all sorts of stuff I could have touched on, all sorts of crazy connections, but I'm gonna let you guys figure that out for yourself because I don't want this video to get too long. I hope you've all enjoyed this analysis, and if you weren't familiar with Case's stuff before this, go check it out. There's 6 whole albums and a multimedia audio drama ARG for you to explore. Anyways, huge thanks to my patrons, Ryan Nelson, Space Arbys, and Stinky, and make sure to check out my social media in the links below for general flailings about and other updates. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.